Good evening. We're here today to talk about the Downtown Incentive Plan. In attendance, we have Councilman Cavo Nero. We have the Mayor, Mr. Boughton, Ms. Edwards from Corporation Counsel, Mr. St. Hilaire from Finance, Mr. Altman from Planning, and Mr. Stillman from the unit. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss changes to existing city ordinances and resolutions to promote the revitalization of downtown Danbury. Recommendations made by Main Street Renaissance Task Force include a package of reduced application and licensing fees for properties located within the downtown revitalization zone. The package also includes financial assistance for the repair or replacement of sidewalks in the DRZ that are maintained for cleanliness and safety by abutting owners. I think I'd like to start by inviting the mayor to say a few words about the package.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity. I've got to go to a ribbon cutting, so I'm going to slip out.
Mayor, could I just interview Sean, I don't think you were listed on this committee. Did you want to be here for this tonight?
I was invited.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
thinking it would be.
Because I don't see on the official committee member list, and I figured if
Yeah.
you didn't want to spend time here.
I was written in.
Okay.
in.
Ah, okay.
I don't recognize that font.
Okay. Sorry, Ron.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before you tonight are approximately 6 different ideas, thoughts, recommendations from the Main Street Renaissance Task Force that's now morphed into the Danbury, the Main Street Partnership. But basically, these are, I'll just tick through them quickly for you, and the idea here is to make it easier, more attractive to do business within the downtown, to incentivize people that when they're making a choice between locating their business, between the outskirts of the city and downtown, we want to try to drive development where the infrastructure will support it, places that are on the bus line, places that have gas, sewer, water, and all of the things in electrical grid that will be able to support them. So, no particular order. We're recommending that we amend the Code of Ordinances to reduce engineering and fire marshal fees by 50% on any land use application that's submitted to the properties that are located into the DRZ. The DRZ stands for the Downtown Revitalization Zone. It's been created by the Zoning Commission as another recommendation of the Renaissance Task Force. And the zone, what we're doing now is linking up all incentives, tax credits, whatever, to the zone, and that is a defined area within the Main Street corridor. We're recommending that we amend the code ordinance for basic building code reduction and building permit fees by 50%. That would include commercial and residential structures that are located in the zone. We're going to lower and authorize the Director of Health and Human Services to impose a fee of $40 for COs on apartments in the DRZ, and to impose a licensing fee of $4 per room for rooming houses or hotels located in the revitalization zone. So that's a reduction in that fee as well. In addition to that, we're authorizing the Director of Health and Human Services to reduce the annual license fees for food service by 50% for property located in the DRZ. We have a lot of restaurants. We're trying to get the dining entertainment district. We're trying to get some dining going on there, and it's a little thing, but it's just something to say to people, look, we appreciate you're here. We want to help you with your business. Now, I think each inspection, Robin,
The license fees vary according to the type of
Yeah.
food service license fee they have, class
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
And I think the highest license is $500, so that would come
So we're
out
knocking it down to 250, but again, it's just a way to sort of incentivize people, if that's part of their total economic package of being successful downtown, and help them do that. We're also asking that reduction in license fees for public pools located in DRZ by 50%. That's in, that's really an accompaniment to a hotel or something like that, but it's just, we do license all public pools in the city. It's a lot of work for the health department, so we put that in there to put everything in alignment in order to make sense. And then finally, probably one of the bigger things we want to do is amend the code of ordinances as it relates to repair and replace sidewalks in the revitalization zone, if the abutting owners agree to keep them clean and unobstructed. What we've had in the past is sort of a hodgepodge system of, well, this ordinance says that the property owner is responsible for the sidewalk. Some people take that seriously, some people don't. Some people put in concrete, some people put in asphalt, because we don't have any specifications in there as to how to replace it, and some people refuse to touch their sidewalk at all. And, of course, the answer to that is, well, we should make them. Well, to make them, you gotta go to court. To go to court, you gotta burn legal fees and spend a lot of time doing that. And the judges in this kind of environment aren't really, they're very reluctant to impose penalties, particularly on property owners when people are struggling to hold their property. So we're not in a good place there. And so we thought, look, we're already replacing most of the sidewalks anyways. If you go up and down Main Street, both the north and the southern part, we've done that already with streetscapes. So why not just own the whole enchilada in the zone? And then in exchange for that, though, we're going to ask, and we've already met with the merchants last week, we're going to ask that people take responsibility over their particular section of the sidewalk. So even if you're not the property owner, you're just a tenant, we're going to ask that you go out there when you open and sweep, pick up the litter, and keep the place clean and unobstructed. Who enforces that? We're going to have the unit enforce that. We are looking at bringing on an additional part-time person that'll have just the zone as their responsibility. So Sean can concentrate on the other 42 square miles of the city, and then at least 2 square miles or 3 square miles of the zone will be the responsibility of the new unit downtown person. And that's pretty much what we're asking the council to consider tonight, and we're here to answer any questions.
Before we move on, Mr. Tamaya from Economic Development has shown up, and Mr. Perkins ex officio too. At this time, I think I'd like to invite Mr. Valburn to give a description of the genesis of these ordinance changes.
Okay, these came out of the Renaissance Task Force recommendations, which was in this report. Do you have this report? You do, okay. So you all do. All right. The report in the section on economic development listed a number of recommendations for ways of creating incentives for development downtown. And some of those were private efforts and some of them were public. Private efforts included a recommendation to undertake a market analysis of the downtown. That was last done in 1990 through City Center. Obviously, it could stand an update. There was also considerable interest on the part of the task force for the creation of a business incubator downtown. Well, the recommendation is that needs to be studied further. That's a major undertaking. And we also came up with private development opportunities for infill redevelopment for 10 sites downtown, which can be where we can intensify development. But having done that for the private sector, we also came up with the incentive package for the public sector, for us. And we felt that what we needed to do was to create a package to send a clear message from the city to potential developers that downtown Danbury is the most hospitable environment in the city to do business. Come here, we want you to come here. busy since this was adopted in coming forward with adopting our package. And that's what's spelled out on this sheet that you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have all been accomplished. You notice on the back at the end, I also have CBD, zoning district incentives as well, which are different than what we require for other areas of the city. So what we really need to do tonight is to focus on sidewalks, which the mayor talked about, and these fees. I have listed 5 fees here. And you do not have the EIC regulated activity permit fees. That's coming for the EIC. That'll also go to the state for approval. But then we're holding a public hearing later on this month. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner, I'm sorry, I didn't see you come in.
Oh, okay.
I think I'd like to invite Mr. Edwards to give an overview of or Ms. Edwards to give an overview of the changes being made to the existing
Sure.
ordinances.
Sure, I'm happy to do so, Mr. Chairman. I think the mayor has certainly gone through and explained really the changes in a very succinct manner, and I can certainly happy to go through the various ordinances again, or I can also entertain any specific questions that committee members might have. But essentially, as an incentive, as Mr. Alpert has mentioned, certain fees are sought to be cut in half for properties which are located within the downtown revitalization zone. Specific fees, section 11-2 is the first ordinance before this committee, and that pertains to engineering and fire marshal fees. Those fees will be cut in half. Certain review fees associated with land use applications and review process for properties located within the DRZ. There are also a few just what I'll call clarification changes within this ordinance. At the time, we sought to clarify a few provisions that are really more along Scrivener's things that are added in here as well. We took the opportunity to do that since the ordinance is being amended already. Subsection 6-02 of the building code is being amended for residential, commercial properties located within the DRZ. The fees, again, associated with those permits will be cut in half, 50%, as an incentive, as is reflected in the ordinance modification. The next item before the committee is a resolution, and that will pertain to fees for the health director. Through his department, certificates of occupancy for apartments are issued. That fee will be cut from $80 to $40 for properties located within the DRZ. As well, the licensing fee for rooming houses or hotels will be cut in half as well. That will now be $4. The licensing fees for foods are enumerated in the next resolution, and that is, again, a fee schedule which is adopted by the Director of Health. In the first 4 sections of that resolution, it breaks down the various class food services. There are 1, 2, 3, and 4. The license fees vary from $150 to $400. Those fees would be half as well for properties located within the DRZ. The next section is 11-7, which pertains to pools. These are for public pools which are located within the DRZ. Those would be, as the mayor mentioned, generally pools which are within hotels, if there were such a thing to exist. That fee would be reduced by 50%. It's currently $250 at this time. So that would be cut in half. And lastly, as just was discussed, sidewalks, and the incentive in that situation is if the property owner keeps their sidewalk clean, safe, and orderly, the city will undertake to bear the cost of replacing the sidewalk for properties located within the downtown revitalization zone. That's really it in a nutshell. I'm
Thank you.
happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I add a couple comments to that. If you're worried that we're gonna lose a lot of money, I wouldn't be at this time, because we haven't had a lot of development down it would be my hope that the day would come when that would become an issue, because that would mean that we're being quite successful, at which time we can reconsider. The other thing regarding sidewalks, we have made improvements to downtown sidewalks in terms of Main Street, North Main Street, Lake Street, Center. And those improvements have been done with public funds, for the most part, state monies. So there is a precedent in that regard. So we're sort of extending that now to all the streets in the revitalization zone.
Great. Mrs. Meyer, I'd like to invite you to add any additional details you believe may be relevant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of general comments. The majority of applicants for major projects in the city ask us what incentives are available. And depending on what type of business or what they're trying to do, we can offer them anything from nothing to the major 7-year incentive we just gave Belimo, depending on the size of the project. So now with these, having the opportunity to say, in addition, if you were to relocate in the DRZ, we can offer you these things, is a good thing. There are a couple of checks and balances, obviously, in our process. The planning department can weigh the merit of the application and decide whether or not they think it's valid. And after that, of course, the council can decide each one on a case by case. So if we can offer incentives that make sense, from my standpoint, it's good for the city. And so we can, look at, as time goes on, whether these are sufficient or not. But for today, they certainly can help. And after the long process that the Renaissance Task Force went through and recommended these, it makes perfect sense that where we are today.
Thank you. Mr. St. Hilaire, I'd like to invite you to speak on the costs and benefits of the package.
Okay. Well, as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts in this, and I think, as Mr. Alpern said, it would be nice to have a significant worry about the cost side on this package, but really the driving piece is not necessarily the cost, but it's to attract and retain businesses in the downtown district. Obviously, we'll look at the finer details with the health department and all those departments involved to see what the current year impact may be and going forward. But it's negligible for that area. I think given the potential benefits that you may derive from it.
Great, thank you. Ms. Gardner, I'd like to invite you to speak on the importance of the package towards achieving city center's short and long-term goals.
Of course. Well, part of our mission is to help revitalize Danbury, downtown Danbury, according to the National Main Street Principles of Organization, Design, Promotion, and Economic Restructuring. So to that fourth point and that fourth principle, this package definitely speaks to that. It's very beneficial for us to have something in hand that says there's an intention by the city to really draw businesses downtown and welcome businesses downtown. I do have a question. I don't know if now's the time for
Sure.
a question. This is for Robin. The fee waivers through the health department, I'm wondering if there's a way to interpret them so they can be applicable to vendors in our farmers market. We did lose a vendor this year because of the high fee structure that the health department was imposing on them, and because they would be within the zone. So that's just a question. I don't know if you necessarily need an answer now, but it's something for consideration.
Well, it's something we would be willing to take a look at. I think that because of the temporary nature, we actually charge them more for a reason, and that's because it's more intensive to inspect them than somebody that's permanently in the zone. But we can certainly, it's not part of this ordinance, but it's something we can consider, and I'll talk to Scott.
So I think the fee
Yes.
structure is the same. It's the applicable
Yes.
fee structure,
The
Right.
fee
depending on
structure
the
is-
vendor and the market.
Yes, it would be for any types of vendors. This really only applies to class 1, 2, 3, or 4 food service establishments at this time. But it's certainly something that
There's
could
a
be
whole other vendor
revisited
ordinance,
in the
yeah.
future.
Okay, because
Okay.
like I did mention, we did lose a specialty food person this year at the market because of the fee structure. And then.
What is the fee?
It was $250 and.
You gotta be kidding me. Somebody won't pay a $250 fee.
Yeah, if they're paying on top of another, a vendor fee that we require.
I mean, it
Which
costs us more
Which
to,
I enticed, I wanted to waive, and that was still.
because you guys charge a vendor fee too, right?
We do, and I was willing to waive that, but it just seemed too much of a barrier for them. And
I
it's a
think if you
startup.
can't pay a $250 fee and you wanna sell vegetables, it's maybe somebody we don't
Well, it
want to
wasn't a
do
vegetable,
business.
because the farmers are different, it's an extension of their farm, so they don't pay a fee.
Right.
They only have to pay our fee, but it was someone with a specialty food item. So I just asked that you consider that.
It's tricky, but it can probably be done.
Yeah.
Which-
Not under this ordinance, you have to go to the
No,
official
no.
ordinance, yeah.
Because you don't want to give this to people who have cards out.
Right.
No, I mean, you could just strictly do it to a farmer's market or any sort of organized market.
Because they'll be in. We just raise it,
Yes.
they'll be in. Okay.
And then another question also was, is there any retroactivity to this? There's been a lot of people who've been waiting for these incentives to be packaged and presented and have.
Well, not these, but all the others have been in place for a while.
Well, these are fee reductions.
Yeah, there's no retroactivity.
There is none. I mean, as they're adopted, they take effect
It
as
can't
they're
be effective
adopted.
to the beginning of the fiscal year?
Nope.
No, not that, that's not that's how these packages have been working. There's no retroactivity.
Can there be a credit?
Nope.
There's no mechanism for that
Look,
either, no.
what you gotta understand,
No.
Andrea, is every time one of these permits goes out, we lose money. The staff time it takes us to review this doesn't equal what the cost of the permit is. So, right off the bat, this is a pretty big concession from the city to be able to do this. And if somebody's holding off, again, over a $250 decrease in the permit, I have serious questions about their ability to even do business. And it seems absurd that somebody would wait to spend $500,000 to run a restaurant over a $250 difference in the permit. I just can't believe people would do that. Because that's really what
Well,
you're talking about.
it's probably more it's probably not strictly the monetary, probably more is a gesture or some symbolism in it, but if it can't be done, it can't be done.
It's going forward.
Mr. Calvo, do you have any questions?
Actually, I have a couple. To the mayor, if I could, through you. Mayor, you had your meeting, was I believe last Wednesday?
Yes, the merchandising, yeah.
Did you mention these proposals coming?
Yes.
And well received, I would bet, by the people that were.
They were, and then we're looking, part of the challenge that we have is, it's like, somebody asked me what I thought, I said, well, it's like when I used to have parent night at the high school, right? You see all the parents that you want to see, you never see the parents of the children that you really want to see, because they won't come to parent night. So I think we have some outreach to do to people that weren't at the meeting. And there are some people legitimately, because of business, out of town. We had other people that were concerned about a language barrier. So we got to do some outreach to them. But some of our worst quote offenders that weren't there is a little bit something that we've got to work on. Having said that, these folks that were there are already in business. A lot of nonprofit people were there. There were some new businesses that had opened as well. And yeah, I mean, anything that we do to help them out in terms of their quality of life downtown, they're very positive about. What we have to do, and what we've been talking about at the partnership meeting, is once these get enacted, along with some of the other things we've done, is create a marketing package so that we can lead them at some of the highest businesses that get a lot of travel in and out, where they can say, hey, come on downtown, here's all the things available to you in the zone. So we want to package all this stuff once we're done to help market to. Andrea can pass them out from City Center, we can keep them out of my office, Dennis can have them down in the permit centers, just as a way to get the word out that we're doing all these different things. But yeah, people were definitely positive.
By the way, follow when these are, assuming we pass these, we will probably restructure this a little bit. What I'd like to do is make it kind of a notice from the mayor. And hey, here are all the benefits you can get if you come and develop downtown. I want to bring this up at the partnership meeting tomorrow and try to get Steve Bull to agree to send it out with one of his mailings to all the chamber members. I think, Andrea, of course, chamber members would be owners, I would assume, more often than not, business and their property owners, because we also want to get it to
There's not a lot
proprietors.
of cross between merchants and downtown owners and chamber
We want
members.
merchants too, we don't want to miss anybody, so. But once this is done and the EIC does their thing, then we'll be in shape to do that and get the word out. Because a lot of times we do things and nobody knows. Right.
And there's,
Nobody knows.
Mr. Chairman, there's two things I tell people to do if they're gonna open downtown. One is to contact Andrea at the city center and get involved there. The second thing is join the chamber, just because there's so many different benefits in terms of that. But we like to bring the chamber in a little bit more and help us do a little more marketing downtown. That, you know, we see them as a real ally, but, you know, because of the diversity of businesses in Danbury and there's so much going on, not that we get overlooked, but we just want to be a little bit higher on the radar. And this is one of the ways that Dennis thought we could do that.
And then if I could continue, Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Edwards.
Yes.
Ms. Edwards, and one of the resolutions that regards the fees for the food operators.
Yes.
The following fees, July 1st through June 30th of each fiscal year. This will apply, this fee structure will apply to all businesses downtown, not just anyone that takes advantage from the proposed passage of this resolution on. It'll
That's
pertain,
correct.
so July 1st next year, every food service that operates in the DRZ will be subject to this fee schedule.
Yes,
So,
maybe this helps to clarify. I mean, we have this fee schedule now.
Right.
This is what we have now. This
Mhm.
is just an added provision to the resolution that we have
That only
adopted already,
pertains to the town.
to the DRZ.
right, it only
Yes.
pertains to the DRZ. So
The
next
new
year,
provision.
like, let's just say Nico's Pizza on Main Street
Mhm.
will be able to, his permit fee will be in half for his food operator license.
Yes.
Right, okay, that's great, great.
Yes.
Because not only does it incentivize new people to come down, but it may help people that are here and hanging on, so that's good. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you was, I noticed that there were some changes to some of the ordinances, but they're just Scrivener error changes. I know you had mentioned something of that in your opening statement.
Did I say 11?
I know there were some words like in
Oh,
engineering that were
yes,
added and stuff like
yes,
that. So
those are-
you're just taking advantage of the ordinance being open
Yes.
and correcting those while they're
There's
here.
a little scribblers
Yeah.
areas,
Okay.
grammatical.
But there's no
clarification.
substantial changes, no substantive changes.
Not that
to
I
the-
haven't.
Okay. Okay, great. That's what I have.
The,
Thank
the,
you.
the only other thing I might just add, just for your clarification, is in the sidewalk ordinance.
Yep.
We've also taken the opportunity to add a provision pertaining to one of the statutes, that's in subsection C. I don't think I mentioned this, it's 12-169B. That really is another tool in our toolbox. We have this remedy available to us now. It just provides that, it's another collection mechanism, and basically that provides, if we don't want to collect a fee by liening the property and foreclosing the lien in that manner, we can make it part of the tax bill, and we can then lien it later if we have to in that manner. So it's another tool in the toolbox. It just adds a little more public awareness, I think, having it codified here, just so people are aware that that's also something that's available, but even if it weren't embedded in this ordinance,
Mhm.
it's still available to the city today. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
A final caveat.
Ask a question.
Yes, this public incentive package, how important it is that it be targeted to the downtown revitalization area. And if I may read from the report of the task force, most importantly, incentives offered as part of a revitalization package must be limited to the downtown and not applied to other areas of the city. This is essential for if they're applied elsewhere or everywhere, their ability to act as inducements for downtown investment will be compromised. There will no longer be special incentives for a special place. And I say that to you guys because I'm sure you'll have people coming up to you and saying,
Why can't
well,
we
why
have
don't
it?"
we offer this here or there or everywhere? And that's the reason. We're targeting this area. These are special inducements to come and revitalize downtown.
In discussion with the mayor, he also suggested that we take the fees that are for downtown and set them aside, so it's used for downtown projects and that kind of thing. So, you know, that'll be another, you know, indication and incentive, you know, for the commitment to the city for downtown. We'll separate the fees that are coming in, and we'll have to set conditions on what exactly that's for. So that, you know, perhaps as that grows, you'll have money for capital items and to make some changes that would enhance the downtown area to make it more attractive. And, you know, in that regard.
Do you need any ideas?
You can share with me, share with the mayor, but maybe you want to make sure that, you know, that that's a possibility for the committee to consider.
Great.
And, you know, we'd be happy to do it in my area, and I'll work with the other departments to separate that.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had written 2 questions down, and I posed them in my writing very eloquently, but Dennis and David beat them both up already. Had to do with costs and everything, and I'm not gonna go there. I think that we got the most out of that as we could get out of it, so I'm gonna let that one go. But Mr. Tumalo, thank you. I wanted to say that in public to really put pressure on myself to get it right.
I mispronounced it myself. So
Thank you very much. Made a comment about when applications or when people apply or something, it will go before the council. I'm not sure if I followed that. Does that mean that if somebody wants to go into a vacant building down there and they want to do something to bring in a business, that again goes in front of the council? That I don't.
Let me
Correct.
let me clarify. What I was saying is the process, the council has to approve the incentive. So it can go through the normal, you know, I can make a recommendation, planning can make a recommendation. The council can say, we will not give this incentive. That's all I meant by that.
That's only the deferral of assessment increases.
Right.
Right.
Those all come before council.
Okay.
These other fee reductions, it's all.
Yeah, in the greater
Right.
sense of the incentives we can offer, sorry, yeah.
Okay, and if I just may follow that up just a little bit, let me see if I can pose this one correctly. In other things where we've gotten involved, and I'm gonna separate these things where we had leases or agreements or rentals or people going in to do development.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
people going in to do different things. And if they didn't live up to those things, it was too bad we couldn't do anything. Is there anything in here that when we're talking about these, are these basically, to anyone that would like to answer this, one-shot things, and once we do them, they're done, or they have to be renewed every year? And do we have anything that's with us that says, okay, if we give you this tax break, we expect you to do this, this, and this, and a year goes by, and do we have any recourse? So through you,
They have a
to
set
anyone that
number of
wants to
years.
answer that question,
They have a set
do we have
number of
some
years.
recourse?
They have a set number of years for which they have to start and complete construction. That's in the contract. There's a contract drawn in between the city and the landowner.
Okay, so, may I?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the person that's gonna do the development. We come to you and we say, okay, Mr. Elton, here's the deal. And you've got 2 or 3 years to do this. And we cut the deal and 2 or 3 years go by and it's not done. Then we go back through some litigation or something for that? Is that the way it works?
No, typically the incentive is for, the assessment and deferral is for 4 or 7 years, something of that nature. Nothing's done, even though we've signed a contract with them and they with us, it terminates. We did one for Kennedy Place, and I think they're about up when they're 7 years.
Okay.
So then it's terminated, and they would have, if they're still interested, they would have to come back and go through the process all over again.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Dennis.
Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one quick question. I know that I recall this area being expanded recently. Geographically, what does it cover right now? Maybe Andrea can help with that question. How far north and south, east and west?
It exceeds the boundaries of city center, but I would say city center boundaries comprise, I don't know, Dennis, what would you say, 85% of it?
Yeah. Amy, I've been in this business for 38 years. You know these kinds of things are gonna come up. There you are.
Thank you.
Color map is better.
Bigger one, too. Thank you.
Excellent. Mrs. Stillman, do you have?
No, thank you. Any dialogue we'd have with the tenants, the business owners, the property owners, we would have, as we normally have right now, we would ensure they follow the required guidelines and partner with the business owners quarterly to ensure compliance.
And the additional resource that the mayor was speaking about, that's enough to,
Which would be much needed, be great, especially because those hours are different than, normal business hours, if you will. Although my hours fluctuate throughout the week, as he made a joke about before. It's a pretty big city and only one person doing it, so I can use help.
excellent.
Scott? This time I'll make a motion. I'm hesitant to include the mayor's suggestion of putting the money aside on a permanent basis in the motion. I'm going to leave that out. I'm going to take the mayor and your office on its word. That's what we'll try to do. I know I've been through 10 budgets and I know how things work, and sometimes you can't always do that, and sometimes that doesn't always work, but it would be great if we could allot that money from the permit fees and into downtown, the city center. And that, I'm fine with that, so I'm not going to place that in a motion. I just want to clarify that up front. But what I'll do is I can make a motion two ways. I can make the easy motion, which says that I would this committee should recommend to the city council at its next regular meeting actually this has to go to, it gets referred to public hearing. So you get referred to the council for a referral to a public hearing for the downtown revitalization zone public incentive package, which will encompass the changes to section 11-2, section 6.02, section 11-7, section 17-7, and the two resolutions, one authorizing the Director of Health and Human Services to impose fees for certificates of occupancy for apartments and imposing licensing fees for rooming houses or hotels. You don't have to probably write all that. I'm just trying to mention which resolution, and then the second resolution is to direct the Director of Health and Human Services to impose fees to reduce the annual license fees for food service establishments for the properties located in the DRZ, Downtown Revitalization Zone, as set forth in the resolution. So basically my motion says I want to recommend the adoption with a referral to a public hearing for the City Council to accept the Downtown Revitalization Zone public incentive package as presented to this committee.
Great. Do we have a second?
But in your last motion, you're not calling out the specifics of the way you just summed it up.
Right. Well, what I did was I mentioned it, Peter, in my section 11-2, 11-2, 6.02, section 11-7,
Okay.
section 17-7.
So you are
This motion is be a mile long.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
If I
I'm
might just
sorry.
interject, if maybe
Yep.
it might be helpful, I think the way you did it is very good. I think it is helpful though, maybe if there's just some small reference to the number so the council knows what they're
Right.
considering, which is just
Right.
what you have
Okay.
done. So
That's what
I
I'm
think it's
hearing
helpful,
in that,
Mr. Nero,
in that
if it-
resolution.
Right.
if it is
All right,
included.
fine.
It's the 4 ordinances and the 2 resolutions.
4
As
ordinance
you
changes and the
pointed
2
out.
resolutions
I
adoption.
just want to know what I'm seconding, that's all. All right. Good work, Joe.
No problem. Now, I'm sorry, before I go, can I just ask you one question? the resolutions do not have to go to a public hearing.
They do not.
Okay, so the council can,
Can act on.
I can make a split, I can split that motion and say the council can enact
Yes,
the
can
two
act.
resolutions at the next regular meeting, which will be in September, and then refer the ordinance changes, the 4 ordinance changes to public hearing, and then
Yes.
committee of the whole, and then adoption in the October.
You said the resolutions don't have to go.
They don't have to have a public hearing for it.
Oh, no, oh, okay, but they go to the council.
Right, because
Okay.
resolutions
Right,
in
right, right.
nature are
Right.
temporary,
Right.
ordinance changes are permanent.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
So for clarification, are you amending your original
Um,
motion to do that?
Since it didn't have a second, yes, I'd like to amend it so that those resolutions can get adopted at the next meeting. You think, that's not gonna make anything hairy at the meeting, right? Sure.
No, I
Okay.
shouldn't, no.
That's fine,
Make
thank
sure
you.
I get it correct.
So that's my motion. Adopt the 4 resolutions, or refer the 4 ordinances
And the
to.
2 resolutions
To a public hearing, and adopt the 2 resolutions.
at the council.
Yes.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this?
If I may. Would you consider attaching that a recommendation to what was the mayor's recommendation? As
Yeah,
part of what you
I
proposed?
think it's sort of there, Andrea, I think I sort of
But not the
implied
way,
that.
not the way you proposed it and Mr. Mayor seconded it. It's not included as part of the recommendation.
Yeah, no, I think I did. I think I said that I wasn't going to include it as part of the adoption. I'm saying that it's there, and President the Mayor has made it clear, and David St. Hilaire has also
So
mentioned.
part of what you present to the city
Part of the
council will
discussion.
say with a recommendation to, and you'll basically say what the mayor said his recommendation was?
I think that'll reflect in the minutes. That'll
The
reflect
minutes
in
of
the
this.
minutes of this meeting, yeah. I don't think I have to do it with a recommendation. I don't think I want
This is
to.
an
No, I
accounting
don't want
function,
to,
really.
I don't
No.
advise you to.
So, you know, I'll take care of it for the direction of, you know, the committee and the council as an accounting function.
Right, that's all. It's an accounting function within your office. I understand that, so that's fine. I'm fine with that.
But then that's temporary, so you could actually present it as a resolution, or no?
No, I will present it to the council, but that's separate from this because I have to set
It's a
it up
suggestion.
as a reserve at the end of the year, and the council will have the ability to say yes or no on that.
So then
I
does
can't
that
set
come
up
in as a
reserves on
separate,
my own.
does that come in then as a separate suggestion that has to be reviewed and then referred, and, or is
No,
that being
I
bundled
would
with
make a
this?
recommendation to the council in the dollar amount has come in related to that, because we don't really know right now,
Mhm.
because
What that
we have to
means,
go
yeah.
through
Right,
all this
speculation
stuff
at this
there.
point, I understand that.
And then, you know, present it to the council and say, you know, this is a year that we want to set aside for this particular
And then is
purpose.
that presentation part of what's being presented here, or is
No,
that
well,
separate?
it is
and-
indirectly, because they're pursuant to the committee's instructions, I have some additional homework to do, but I can't attach that. There's not enough time to attach it to what they need to do, so, you know, what they're doing is more of a legal thing, and what I'm doing is more of an administrative thing. So, you know, my task will be, after this is, assuming this is adopted,
Mhm.
then to gather all that information, make a recommendation to the council, that the council will then review and say, all right.
So then it is
set
separate from that, I mean, it's sort of.
It is, it has to be, yeah.
But it'll be part of the discussion at the next city council meeting.
What, I'm assuming it, you know, the mayor's recommendation is just that, because there would be, you know, we're speculating how much and all that, so you really can't.
And David, if I could just interject you,
Yeah.
Andrea, I'm cautious. I don't want to saddle another council to this. I don't want to saddle another mayor to have to do this. So I want it, and that's why I said I'd like it as a recommendation. If we can do it financially, great. If we can't do it financially, then I want to have the mayor and the city council, whoever that may be, going forward, have that flexibility to say yes or no.
Because this is gonna take more than a year.
To
I'm
what?
sorry?
Oh, no.
No.
The intent is clear. I mean,
Okay.
Right,
the intent is clear. And that's, you know, assuming all this passes, they had made their intent clear on what they want my department to do. in working with the other departments to try to capture that and then kind of separate it, and then further action would be required on that. Now the question is, we can't just build that up to some unlimited amount, nor can we we definitely have to have criteria for using that fund. So that's a whole separate process and discussion that we can that we need to have. But as far as the other part, that pursuant to the adoption of this, we'll go forward and then make a recommendation later
So
on.
if I could just speculate here in the perfectly aligned universe, that it was a reasonable amount, that everyone was agreeable to having something like that, what would be the timeline?
If I may, I haven't spoken to the other departments about how much is involved in their analysis on that, because we also have to confirm the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And but just getting back to the original point, that's not even if we set it aside, we can't let that just grow and grow and grow. So that goes to Councilman Cava's point, that the council has to have that discretion, to be able to manage that at some level, and that's, we don't want to just set this bucket aside and without any kind of active engagement on it, because a lot of municipalities, believe it or not, they set up things like this and they put money aside and it's forgotten, and then it ends up being not used for its intended purpose 5 years down the line, but it's been this growing bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to set it up right and make sure it's something that the council is very much aware of as we go forward, and it's used for its intended purposes.
So 3 months, 5 months?
I'm not going to give you a timeline, but I'm not going to say it's not going to happen next week or next month.
Well, that seems clear.
And it's not going to take a year.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, I think you threw me off with the.
Well, just now,
future
none of this will go in
comments.
at least until November, anyway, even
Right.
if it goes
So-
perfectly through the system right now.
Mhm.
Right.
November would be the earliest it would be enacted.
Yeah, and it won't be retroactive, just to make it clear, so everybody understands. So whatever is done would be, would be going forward, so.
Okay. I'd like to call this item to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we have no more business before us and to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant John Brown with the Danbury Police Department, and I'm in charge of the Community Policing Unit. I'd like to offer you some crime prevention tips today, specifically on the topic of burglary prevention. There are 3 things that you can do to help your property, either commercial or residential property, and to prevent it from becoming a victim of a burglary. And they are light, time, and noise. You should always be sure that your property has sufficient lighting to deter your residents or business from becoming a victim of a burglary. Light. Be sure that the exterior portion of your residence or business has plenty of and sufficient lighting that illuminates your property from up to 50 feet away. Consider installing variable timers on the interior portion of your business or residence, and also consider trimming shrubs and trees that would help conceal a burglar during the process of a burglary. Time. Consider installing deadbolt locks with keys on all doors which contain glass. We want to make it more time consuming for the burglar to make entry into your residence or business. Noise. Consider installing a burglar alarm which would notify your neighbors of a burglar's presence. You should also consider getting a dog, which would also create a disturbance should an unknown person enter your residence. Also report any acts of suspicious activity to the Danbury Police Department at 203-797-4611. Thank you.